If your A1C is stuck at 7, 8, or even higher, the issue usually isn't a lack of willpower, it is a lack of structure. When you receive lab results that haven't budged despite your best efforts, it is easy to feel defeated. However, you must remember that A1C is not just a random number on a report. It is a 3-month clinical reflection of your daily blood sugar patterns. It represents every breakfast spike, every late-night carb-heavy dinner, and every afternoon crash. These small moments add up to your total average. The good news is that lowering your A1C does not require extreme dieting, cutting out all carbohydrates, or starving yourself. It requires something much more powerful: a consistent, balanced, full-day eating strategy. In this guide, I will walk you through a doctor-approved full day of meals designed to stabilize your blood sugar from morning to night. You will learn why breakfast matters more than you realize, how to build the ideal lunch plate, the truth about snacking, and how dinner timing affects your fasting glucose. This is about creating predictable blood sugar patterns so your A1C can fall naturally. Let's build your day, one meal at a time. The science behind lowering A1C. To lower your A1C, you must first understand that it is a cumulative measurement, not a snapshot. A1C, or glycated hemoglobin, represents the percentage of your red blood cells that have sugar coating them. Since these cells live for about 3 months, the test reveals your average blood sugar over that duration. Think of it like a long-term grade point average rather than a single test score. To move this number effectively, we must address the daily fluctuations that contribute to the final percentage. Stability is the goal, not deprivation. Every decision you make throughout the day contributes to this rolling average. The mechanics of glycation and post-meal spikes. Every time your blood sugar rises sharply, a physiological process called glycation occurs. This is where glucose molecules permanently attach to the hemoglobin in your red blood cells. Once that bond is formed, it remains until the red blood cell reaches the end of its life cycle. Therefore, the secret to a lower A1C is not just having low blood sugar occasionally, but minimizing the frequency and intensity of these glycation events. Each spike is a data point in that average. Large post-meal spikes are particularly problematic because they contribute disproportionately to your result and cause oxidative stress on your blood vessels. By smoothing out the peaks and valleys of your glucose curve, you reduce the total volume of sugar available to bond with your cells. Improving your A1C is a matter of reducing this cumulative glucose exposure over time. It requires a fundamental shift from focusing on occasional successes to focusing on metabolic consistency. When your body experiences fewer dramatic swings, your insulin sensitivity begins to improve naturally. Your cells become more responsive to the insulin your body produces, which eventually lowers your baseline fasting levels. This reduction in chronic inflammation and metabolic stress is what ultimately drives your A1C down into a healthy, safe range. The 4 pillars of metabolic stability. This full-day plan is built upon 4 metabolic pillars that serve as your primary defense system against glucose variability. The first pillar is protein at every meal. Protein acts as a powerful metabolic anchor. It triggers hormones that slow down gastric emptying, ensuring that nutrients enter the bloodstream at a manageable pace. This significantly lowers the total insulin demand of any given meal and provides lasting satiety. The second pillar is fiber. Fiber creates a physical mesh in your digestive tract, trapping sugars and slowing their absorption. This buffer is why whole fibrous foods are vastly superior to processed alternatives. The third pillar is the strategic management of carbohydrates. We focus on low glycemic, complex carbohydrates that provide steady energy rather than a rapid surge, ensuring the quantity matches your body's actual energy needs. Finally, the fourth pillar is strategic meal timing. Your body's ability to process glucose follows a circadian rhythm, and giving your system breaks between meals is essential for preventing chronic insulin elevation. If you are constantly grazing, your insulin levels never return to a baseline state, which perpetuates the cycle of insulin resistance. By spacing meals properly and avoiding late-night eating, you allow your metabolic system to rest and repair. These 4 pillars work synergistically to create a predictable, flat glucose response. When your daily patterns remain stable, your A1C will inevitably reflect that consistency. Breakfast that stabilizes blood sugar. If there is one meal that can quietly sabotage your entire day, it is breakfast. Most people view breakfast as a way to kickstart their metabolism, but for someone working to lower their A1C, it is actually about setting a stable glucose tone for the next 12 hours. In the morning, your body is in a unique physiological state that makes it particularly sensitive to the types of carbohydrates you consume. The physiology of morning insulin resistance. To understand why breakfast is so critical, we must look at the natural rhythms of the human body. Every morning, before you even open your eyes, your body undergoes a process often called the dawn phenomenon. To prepare you for the day, your endocrine system releases a surge of hormones, including cortisol, growth hormone, and adrenaline. These hormones signal your liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream to provide energy for wakefulness. Consequently, many people with diabetes find that their blood sugar is already elevated before they take their first bite of food. When you add a typical high-carb breakfast, such as cereal, white toast with jam, fruit smoothies, or flavored yogurt, on top of this natural glucose rise, you are essentially pouring gasoline on a metabolic fire. These refined foods are broken down almost instantly, flooding a system that is already struggling with temporary morning insulin resistance. This leads to an exaggerated blood sugar spike, followed by a rapid insulin-driven crash. This roller coaster effect doesn't just end at 10 a.m. It triggers biochemical hunger and cravings that persist throughout the afternoon, making it much harder to maintain your A1C goals. The doctor-approved formula for morning stability. The goal of a doctor-approved breakfast is simple: prevent the first spike of the day. To achieve this, we utilize a formula that prioritizes three components: 25 to 35 grams of high-quality protein, a significant portion of fiber, and healthy fats. Protein is the non-negotiable anchor of this meal. It slows down the speed at which food leaves your stomach, ensuring that any carbohydrates present enter the bloodstream at a manageable pace. A savory and stable option is often the best choice for glucose control. This might include 2 whole eggs scrambled with a generous amount of fiber-rich sautéed spinach or mushrooms, paired with half an avocado for healthy fats. If you prefer a colder start, plain Greek yogurt is an excellent vehicle for protein, provided it is unsweetened. You can enhance the fiber content by adding chia seeds, flax seeds, or a small handful of berries, which have a much lower glycemic impact than tropical fruits. For those who enjoy grains, steel-cut oats are preferred over instant varieties, but they should always be paired with a protein source, such as a scoop of high-quality protein powder, to buffer the glucose response. By choosing these protein-forward options and avoiding fruit juices, bagels, and sugary coffee drinks, you win the morning and establish a steady glucose profile for the rest of the day. Balanced lunch to prevent afternoon spikes. By midday, your metabolic system is at a critical crossroads. If your morning was stable, lunch is about maintaining that peace. If you experienced a spike at breakfast, lunch is your vital opportunity to regain control. Most people fail here by choosing convenience, sandwiches, wraps, or heavy rice bowls that cause a secondary glucose surge. This leads to the dreaded afternoon slump, a period of intense brain fog and fatigue driven by a reactive blood sugar crash. To prevent this, you must transition from a carb-centered mindset to a clinically structured plate designed for maximum glucose stability. The clinical blueprint for a balanced plate. The most effective way to manage midday glucose is through the plate method. You should visualize your lunch divided into 3 distinct zones. Half of your entire plate must be filled with non-starchy vegetables, such as leafy greens, peppers, or broccoli. These vegetables provide the essential fiber necessary to create a physical barrier in the gut, which significantly slows the entry of sugar into the bloodstream. 1/4 of the plate should be dedicated to high-quality lean protein, such as grilled turkey, tofu, or salmon. This protein provides the amino acids necessary for mental focus and the satiety needed to prevent late afternoon cravings. The final quarter is reserved for a small portion of slow-digesting carbohydrates, like lentils or a half cup of quinoa. By limiting the starch and surrounding it with fiber and protein, you effectively blunt the total insulin response of the meal. Utilizing movement as a metabolic sponge. The food you consume is only half the strategy. What you do immediately after eating is the other half. One of the most powerful, doctor-approved secrets for lowering A1C is the 10-minute post-lunch walk. When you engage in light physical activity after a meal, your skeletal muscles act as a metabolic sponge. They pull glucose directly from your bloodstream to use as immediate fuel through non-insulin-mediated glucose uptake. This allows your muscles to clear sugar without requiring the pancreas to produce excess insulin. This simple habit flattens the glucose curve, eliminates the 3 p.m. energy crash, and keeps your A1C on a consistent downward trajectory. Smart snacking, do you even need it? Snacking is one of the most misunderstood aspects of blood sugar management. Traditional advice often suggests eating small meals every few hours to keep metabolism high. But for someone focusing on A1C, this can be counterproductive. Every time you eat, your body must release insulin. Constant grazing keeps insulin levels chronically elevated, which prevents your body from accessing stored energy and can worsen insulin resistance over time. The hormonal cost of constant grazing. When you snack throughout the day, your metabolic system never reaches a baseline state. This constant state of feeding means your pancreas is perpetually working and your cells are never given a break from insulin exposure. To improve A1C, we want to allow insulin levels to fall between meals, which encourages the body to improve its sensitivity. Therefore, snacks should be considered optional tools rather than requirements. You should only snack if you have a gap of 5 hours or more between meals, or if you experience true physical hunger that might lead to overeating at dinner. The rule of protein and fiber pairing. If you do choose to snack, you must follow one strict rule: never eat a carbohydrate naked. To prevent a rapid glucose spike, you must pair every carbohydrate with protein or fiber. For example, instead of eating an apple alone, pair it with a tablespoon of almond butter. The protein and healthy fats in the butter slow the absorption of the fruit's sugar. Other doctor-approved options include a hard-boiled egg, a handful of raw walnuts, or cottage cheese with cucumbers. By avoiding processed crackers, granola bars, and juices, you ensure your snacks stabilize your energy rather than sabotaging your progress. Dinner strategy to improve fasting glucose. Dinner is the vital link between today's choices and tomorrow's results. For many struggling with a high A1C, the primary obstacle is not breakfast, but the composition and timing of their final meal. This evening intake dictates your blood sugar for the next 8 to 10 hours, significantly impacting your overall 3-month average. The impact of nocturnal hyperglycemia. As evening approaches, your body's circadian rhythm causes a natural decline in insulin sensitivity. Your cells become less efficient at absorbing glucose as they prepare for sleep. If you consume heavy starches or sugars late at night, that glucose remains trapped in your bloodstream for hours. This condition, known as nocturnal hyperglycemia, prevents metabolic repair and ensures you wake up with elevated fasting glucose. High morning numbers mean you start your day at a disadvantage, making it nearly impossible to keep your daily average in a healthy range. The dinner formula and strategic timing. To improve your fasting levels, your dinner must be the most glucose-safe meal of the day. Prioritize lean proteins such as baked salmon or grilled chicken, and fill at least half your plate with non-starchy vegetables like sautéed zucchini or a leafy salad. If you include carbohydrates, keep the portion very small and fiber-rich. Crucially, you should finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. This window allows your insulin levels to manage the meal and return to a baseline state before you sleep, ensuring a stable, healthy glucose profile throughout the night. Full-day blueprint and customization. Now that we have walked through the details of breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner, it is time to tie everything together into a complete, doctor-approved full-day blueprint. The secret to lowering your A1C is not finding one superfood, but rather establishing a rhythm of consistency across the entire day. In the morning, your focus should be on protein and fiber with a healthy fat for satiety. This sets the foundation and prevents that early spike. At midday, you should follow the plate formula of half vegetables, 1/4 lean protein, and 1/4 controlled carbohydrates. Do not forget the power of light movement like a 10-minute walk after you eat. For your afternoon snack, if you truly need one, always stick to the protein plus fiber combination. In the evening, prioritize protein and vegetables, keep your carbohydrates moderate, and ensure you finish eating well before bedtime. You can even include a cup of caffeine-free tea like chamomile to help you relax without affecting your glucose levels. However, we must recognize that every person's metabolism and lifestyle are different. This plan should be a roadmap, not a rigid set of rules that cannot be bent. You can customize this plan based on your individual needs. For seniors, it is often beneficial to choose softer, easier to digest proteins like eggs, poached fish, or tofu. Since activity levels may be lower, you might slightly reduce the portion sizes of carbohydrates while prioritizing hydration, as thirst can often be mistaken for hunger in older adults. For vegetarians, you can replace animal proteins with plant-based powerhouses like lentils, beans, tofu, tempeh, or Greek yogurt. The key for vegetarians is to ensure they are not over-relying on grains and breads for their calories, but instead focusing on the protein and fiber found in legumes and soy products. For those with weight loss goals, the strategy is to slightly reduce the carbohydrate portions at each meal, while increasing the volume of high-fiber vegetables. This allows you to feel full and satisfied while still maintaining a caloric deficit and keeping insulin levels low enough to promote fat burning. For those starting with a very high A1C of 8% or more, it is vital to be more strict with carbohydrate portions in the beginning. You should emphasize protein and fiber at every single meal, and be very consistent with post-meal activity. Monitoring your fasting glucose trends daily can help you see how these changes are impacting your body in real time. The key takeaways for the full day are clear. Structure matters more than any specific miracle food. Following the plate formula consistently is what stabilizes your glucose over the long term. Protein and fiber at every meal are your two best friends in this journey. Meal timing is just as important as meal content, particularly when it comes to your evening meal. Consistency over time is what moves the A1C numbers down. When you combine these practices, you create a predictable, glucose-friendly environment that improves your insulin sensitivity and supports your overall metabolic health. Final takeaway: lowering your A1C is a journey, not a sprint. It is the result of thousands of small decisions made over the course of 90 days. Each time you choose a protein-rich breakfast over a sugary cereal or a 10-minute walk after lunch, you are moving the needle. Every balanced plate you build is a deposit into your long-term health bank account. The power of this full-day meal plan is that it removes the metabolic chaos and provides your body with the predictability it needs to heal from the inside out. Remember the core principles we have covered today. Prioritize protein and fiber at every meal to slow down digestion. Sequence your food by eating your non-starchy vegetables first to buffer the glucose response. Pay close attention to the timing of your dinner to protect your fasting glucose levels. And most importantly, move your muscles after you eat to help your body naturally manage its sugar. Now I want to hear from you. Success in diabetes management is built on the back of small, repeatable actions. Which part of this full-day plan seems the most achievable for you to start tomorrow? Is it the savory, egg-based breakfast, the 10-minute post-lunch walk, or the earlier dinner time? Let me know in the comments below. Sharing your specific goals helps create accountability and inspires others in this community who are walking the same path. If you found this guide valuable, please subscribe for more doctor-approved strategies to stabilize your blood sugar and lower your A1C one meal at a time. You have the roadmap and the science. Now it is your turn to put it into action and start seeing the results you deserve. Thank you so much for watching, for your commitment to your health, and for being part of this channel.